Funding for DNews has been provided by the Cal and Lucille Rudman Institute for Entertainment Industry Studies.
Flowers in the spring and cardboard boats on this episode of DNews.
Hello, and welcome to DNews. In our first story, I recently got a chance to see a child's toy converted into a spectacular display. I'm here at the Franklin Institute in Center City, where playing with Legos is being given a whole new meaning.
Art of the Brick is really a very unique exhibit for the Franklin Institute. It is an exhibit of Lego art produced by one artist, New York-born Nathan Zawaya, who was actually a corporate mergers and acquisitions attorney before he started creating Lego art.
The whimsical installation features over 100 works of Lego art. It includes everything from recreations of famous paintings and sculptures to dozens of Zawaya's original pieces, some using as many as 80,000 Lego bricks at a time.
My favorite piece happens to be the one that Nathan created especially for us. It is so appealing to both kids who love the whimsy of Lego and really connect it to their own childhood, all the way to adults who remember playing with Lego as a kid, but appreciate the very theatrical and art gallery sense that the exhibit provides for them.
I thought it was going to be just something for children. I wasn't expecting modern art masterpieces, to be honest.
I thought it was mostly going to be him doing, his own sculptures, which seems like a decent amount of it was, but I didn't expect to learn so much about actual existing art. I actually plan on telling a few friends that are also art fans to get down here and check it out.
The exhibit runs through September of 2015. No matter how old you are, this is one exhibit that will make you feel like a kid again. For DNews, I'm John LaRussa. There's a new way to get a taste of Philadelphia. Fattening, maybe. Fun, for sure.
It's called The Flavors of Philly, and it's designed for tourists.
The Flavors of Philly we designed for people from outside the city to come to Philadelphia to make sure that they hit all of the iconic foods, the famous foods here in Philadelphia.
Beef, cheese, and fried onions make the cheese stick look like a little piece of heaven. And Robert showed us how to order the cheese stick like a native Philadelphian.
You order your cheese, so whether it's Whiz or American, then you order whether you want it with or without fried onions. So if I want with fried onions, it's Whiz with. So it's Whiz, cheese whiz with onions, or I can say American without. There's no H, you don't pronounce the H.
And let's not forget pretzels.
Philadelphians eat about 14 times the national average for pretzels, and Pennsylvania bakes 80% of all pretzels consumed in the U.S.
Weinberg says even though the tour is for tourists, he keeps it real and throws in the side order of history.
Every place we've been today, we go to all on our own. We used to go before we had the tour, and we bring our family and friends to these places also.
Satisfying part was probably the food itself. The food was great, and there was a lot to eat. So if you go on a tour like this, you'll be overwhelmed with how much food there is. But I think it's just as satisfying as the history you get as well.
Price for the tour is $39, and it runs all year long. For DNews, I'm Lei Guo.
1, 2, 3.
Philadelphia! The annual Philadelphia Flower Show signals the coming of spring. This year, the show paid homage to our love of movies.
The Flower Show partnered with Disney and Pixar to create 15 major exhibits.
Each one of them has been asked to create a display that's inspired by a specific Disney film. It runs from some of the classic films, Mary Poppins, the ones that I grew up with, to those that the current generation knows, like Frozen, Cars, and Pirates of the Caribbean, are all represented this year at the flower show.
The garden features thousands of calla lilies, lavender, and ferns. To get all these different kinds of flowers to bloom at the same time is not easy.
That's the trick of the flower show, is getting everything to be in blossom all at the same time. So you've got plants that would be blooming in early spring with flowering with plants that would be blooming in late summer, and it's what we call the forcing process. So it's a matter of tricking them into thinking that it's early spring or whenever that plant would bloom.
One landscape gold medal winner designed a garden filled with Chinese artifacts, antiquities, and plants.
Since it's a Chinese garden, we have only Chinese plants that originate in China in our garden. We also wanted to have a moon gate because many great gardens in China always have a lot of symbolism, religious and moral intonations about the moon gate.
And the show also provides demonstrations on planting trees and growing organic vegetables.
We want to inspire them to do that, and then we teach them how to do that at the show. We have what we call the Gardener Studio, so we bring experts from around the world to come and offer presentations about all different topics of horticulture, from edible gardening to pest control with using organic methods, planting the right tree in the right place, all different kinds of presentations.
Happy spring! For DNews, I'm Hao Jun.
Drexel's annual Recycle Regatta presents a unique challenge to boaters. This year, there were even pirates. Shiver me timbers!
It's always held on the third weekend in February at the Recreation Center. Students, faculty, and staff race homemade cardboard boats across the high seas.
There's not too many rules involved in this event. Basically, students need to build a boat solely out of cardboard and tape, and then use that boat to race across the pool as fast as they can.
Students have to find materials and build their boats by themselves in advance. The brutally cold weather limited the number of participants this year, but Team Pirate showed up in full regatta.
I think the most interesting part is that no one really thinks that cardboard is something that float. When I tell people, oh, we're making a cardboard boat race, everyone's like, oh, like very funny, like it's very small. I'm like, no, you and one other person have to be in it. So I'm really excited just to show everyone that you can really make a boat out of cardboard and it'll really float.
Another fun part is the awards.
The first is our Black Pearl Award, and that goes to the boat that's the fastest across the pool. The Mayflower Award is for the boat that's the best constructed boat. And then my favorite award is the Titanic Award for the best sinking ship.
Team Pirate won the fastest boat award, and Team Stanley won the Titanic Award. As usual, the Recycle Regatta made a huge splash. For DNews, this is Oren Yang.
Even if you're not old enough to remember the music of the 70s, you'll be surprised by this groovy class at Drexel.
The class is called Uncovering Philly's Groove. It's a collaborative effort connecting Drexel's Mad Dragon music with the fabled Sigma Sound studio and music publisher Reservoir Media.
We're finding archival material that is owned by Reservoir Media, and so we came in a partnership with them to provide them mixes so they could hear the material that they own. They're multi-track, so they have individual instruments on individual tracks. So I've gathered some students to take those and create finished recordings out of them. And these are all from the Philly Soul, from Sigma Sound Studios. They were all recorded here in Philadelphia.
The students are taking unfinished, unreleased recordings from the 70s and mixing them into completed songs.
What I told them at the very beginning, what I wanted them to do was to go off and mix this without me looking over their shoulder. And then about midterm, come to me with where they were on their mixes.
The old tracks in the Philly Groove label are providing the students with a once-in-a-lifetime school experience.
The opportunities a number of opportunities come up with this. One, just the experience of dealing with this type of material, which is very different than what they're used to. So they get a great insight into record production practices of the past. Now they're applying how they work in the present to that, so they can kind of see how those connections are made and how some of those techniques go together.
I've been trying to use different sort of plugins to make sounds that sound like the 70s but are a little bit more modern, a little bit cleaner. And I've done a couple of interesting vocal production changes that really speak to the 70s, but they're more modern sounding things because they're digital.
I come from a musical background. I'm a recording engineer. I've worked on lots of records. And when you have recordings made, which were mostly made with the entire ensemble playing together in the same room, there's an organicness to it. There's a humanness to it. There's something about it that speaks to the not only the time but musicality, and then thematically, this music it paints a picture of urban life in the early 70s, and that is a really nice story to hear.
Stay tuned for these groovy tunes. For DNews, I'm Francine River.
Another Drexel venture is showing promise in helping people with cerebral palsy to get in the game.
I'm here at the College of Nursing and Health Professions, where a video game is being developed for people with disabilities. I spoke with Dr. Margaret O'Neill, an associate professor in the Department of Physical Therapy and Rehab Sciences.
I was thinking in terms of application of games to kids with disabilities, and we went for an Excite grant for some seed money to get the very first game off the ground, if you will. And then we went for more funding in the Coulter Foundation, which is housed at Drexel, which we were lucky enough and very fortunate to get that funding to move on to developing several game themes, which we have now, that are being tested in the iterative process of improving the games as we go.
The project is designed to help CP patients on many levels.
Our hopes are that, number one, we can create games and game themes that will be easy enough and fun enough that children will want to play, and therefore increase their physical activity levels, decrease their sedentary levels, and overall improvement of health and fitness.
It's an exciting project to be doing something for fitness and wellness that's using some sort of new technology that's innovative.
Finally, Dr. O'Neill spoke about her passion for kids with CP.
Most of the children, because of their mobility abilities and because of their mobility challenges, are not kids who easily can join a little league team or easily be part of a community rec center. There's a gap that needs to be filled for these kids to be able to be active, and I think that this could really be something to help fill that gap. So that makes me very happy, very excited. Yeah.
For DNews, I'm Matt Yondo.
And finally tonight, back to food. Soon, there will be a newcomer to the vibrant food truck scene on campus. This truck will showcase Asian street food.
It's called the Royalty Truck. Owner Stephen No is a Temple grad, but he likes the Drexel food truck scene.
Well, I've always found that Drexel University has one of the most diverse campuses in the Philadelphia area, with nationalities from all over the world. Currently, I feel like there's a lack of bubble tea presence. I wanted to bring that to the young adult and student livelihood of Drexel. Also wanted to bring some Asian cuisines, which is also catered more towards the young adults.
Royalty will feature a tasty variety of meats and veggies with rice outbound.
Bao's is essentially like it's a Asian taco. It's made out of buns with your choice of meat, your choice of veggies, and with a sauce on top. And we have the braised pork belly, which has been cooked for hours, and I would essentially, that's my favorite one, is probably going to be a hottest seller.
They will also be serving skewers, the Chinese version of kebabs, and the popular trendy drink bubble tea.
This starts out milk tea. You get different flavors, your choice of flavors. We're definitely running a special The first month we're going to be offering buy one, get one free beverages for bubble tea, any size you want, buy one, get one free.
The truck was still being painted and prepared for street duty when we were there.
It's going to be painted, it's going to be wrapped, and it's going to be very colorful and one of the hottest food trucks at Drexel University, and you won't be able to miss it.
Look for the royalty truck at 33rd and Market. For DNews, I am Jai-Ying Wan.
That's a wrap for this episode of DNews. Have a great spring, and thanks for watching.
The production of DNews has been made possible with the generous support of the Cal and Lucille Redmond Institute for Entertainment Industry Studies, the Office of University Communications, and the Antoinette Westphal College of Media Arts and Design.